Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion. Rock and metal invasion.
Hi, welcome to Rock and Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. Coming up on the show today, I'm doing random thoughts and new releases. I'm going to talk about some new music that has been released. But first of all, some random thoughts. So, first random thought, I was playing this EP, I guess you call it an EP today. This is Wolfsbane, Wasted and Dangerous. And I was thinking to myself, Blaze Bayley sounds quite a bit like David Lee Roth, especially on the song that starts off the EP, Loco. And then also, as well, if you listen to the debut album, the song Manhunt, there's quite a bit of similarity with David Lee Roth in the way he sung. And I was thinking, of course, Blaze ends up replacing Bruce Dickinson in Iron Maiden. But what if he had instead replaced Sammy Hagar? Because both those bands kind of needed a new lead vocalist around about the same time. And, that would have been interesting, wouldn't it? Of course, Blaze would have been replacing Sammy, not Dave, but still, it could have been almost going back to that sort of Dave sort of style and sound. And it didn't really work out with Gary. Not that it's Gary's fault necessarily, probably more the songs just weren't there. But um, I just thought interesting, would have been interesting. And of course, it didn't end up working out really when he went to Iron Maiden, particularly either. I mean, once I guess Bruce became available, wanted to come back, that was kind of it. But yeah, I just thought very interesting. So if you haven't heard those songs, go check them out and see if you can pick up on those similarities to David Lee Roth. Because as a band, you don't necessarily think Wolfsbane and Van Halen, but as having similarities. But I think there are some similarities there. Um, Second sort of random thought that I had today. I was obviously I've been thinking about Marcy Free or Mark Free. I did a tribute to her on my last episode. Sadly, Marcy has passed away. She was the vocalist when she was known as Mark Free in Unruly Child, Signal, and King Cobra. And so I've been playing some Unruly Child, and I've been playing the Real Gone Music vinyl reissue. Great album. And, I've reviewed this album, talked about this album. When I got this album, I was very happy because I'd been waiting to either hopefully score an OG or for it to be, you know, repressed on vinyl because very rare to get that initial pressing of this album on vinyl. So was very happy when it came out, and when they put it out, they put it out as a 2 LP. So I've been listening to that, and then I thought, actually, I've got a like a promo. So before I got this, I thought, well, I'll just settle with having this promo. It's like a 4 track called Rock Ahead, and it's got 4 tracks from the Unruly Child album. So it's kind of like better than nothing, and it kind of was hopefully going to tide me over until eventually what did happen, a repress, or I got an OG, but I got the repress. And I thought, I wonder what sounds better. So I did a bit of a test today, and I gotta say, I think this sounded better. Now, I'm no audio expert, and maybe it just depends on the type of stereo you've got. And it was very subtle, but for me, it was sort of like, I think I thought there was a bit more volume, a bit more power on this one. So it kind of got me thinking. I'm interested to know if you are out, if you've got like well, if you've got some opinion, I guess, about originals, OGs, pressings versus reissues. Are they better? Real Gone Music, they've reissued quite a few albums. I actually haven't been getting a lot of them because, with the Wild Side, with the Britney Fox, I already had the original pressing, so I didn't kind of need to um, get the repress. Same with the Blue Murder. And I'd be quite interested because my Blue Murder is a Korean pressing. Actually, it sounds really good, I think. I'd be interested to. I've sort of thought about picking up the Real Gone Music version of it, just to again do a sound comparison. But it's an expensive album to get and not easy to get down here in New Zealand. But um, especially when you add the shipping and everything. So I haven't been able to do that test, but I thought, well, since I've got this promo, I can do that little test. And again, nothing against Real Gone Music. Their albums are great. The sound, I wouldn't have known really any difference other than the fact I really just was listening very carefully. And that's just what I noticed. But again, it's not like there's nothing wrong with this. This sounds fine, but yeah, it just got me wondering. I'd be interested to know if anyone's got some original. It doesn't have to be a Real Gone Music reissue, but other reissues compared to the original press. Do you find the original press better? Because I feel like some people do. Maybe for multiple reasons, like just the sound. They like to have the original, um, you know, pressing. Because if you look on Discogs, always the OG is the expensive one to get. The reissue, not so much. So because I'm seeing, and those prices are still high. Like so, because I actually had looked today, I thought, well, if this Unruly Child OG sounds better. Maybe I'll just have a look and see. Maybe the price has gone down now that's been reissued, but no, it hasn't. It's like, 800 New Zealand dollars. That's the cheapest to get a original press of their first Unruly Child album. So, yeah, yeah. Just I'd be interested to know if anyone's got done some sort of sound comparisons or got some opinion on that. Right, next sort of random thought. Well, it's more of a yeah, it is a random thought, I guess, more of an opinion. But the new Aerosmith songs, I know it's not that new, it's been out for a little while, and it's a collaboration with Youngblood. And I've been really enjoying it. I think it's a really good song. In fact, possibly the best Aerosmith song since the mid 90s. And I know they haven't put out a heap of music, but yeah, probably since about the mid 90s, it might be the best Aerosmith song I've heard. And it's got some sort of, you know, it sounds like it's a modern version, I guess, of Aerosmith. And it may not be everyone's cup of tea, so to speak, but I like it. Youngblood, of course, does vocals on it as well. He's kind of been hyped up quite a bit recently. And some people are into it, some people like not into it. I know that uh, the guy from The Darkness, Justin Hawkins, he has been a little, and I think his brother has as well, been a bit critical of Youngblood. Doesn't really think he's the real deal, so to speak. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's interesting because Ozzy liked him, right? Ozzy like got him to come and perform on the final concert on that final Black Sabbath Ozzy concert thing. And I thought it was an interesting choice because I didn't really think he was particularly hard rock or metal, but I know that he did a song with Bring Me the Horizon Obey called Obey. He did a collaboration with them, which I really like. I really like that song. But apart from, I mean, I don't know. To me, he's never been a metal guy really, or even a hard rock guy. More pop punky kind of alternative kind of guy. So I was aware of him, but yeah, I don't think he's the future of rock and metal. But he seems to be kind of now doing this collaboration with Aerosmith. A lot of the bands that guys from my generation sort of follow, he's kind of like turning up now, and yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. There is going to be some sort of EP. I don't know exactly how it's going to work because it's like a EP with I think Youngblood and Aerosmith on it. I'm not sure if they're doing lots of songs together, or if it's a song each, or obviously we'll have this song, My Only Angel on it. But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying as far as the Aerosmith song, good song, I like it. So as far as Youngblood's concerned, like just wait and see, I guess. If he starts doing something that's actually hard rock or metal, then I might be interested. Um, Final little thought, and it's a bit of a sad thought, really, but um, I was thinking, I don't think rock is dead, but maybe rock stars are, and by that I mean rock stars are dying, sadly. And as I said when I was talking about Mark III, it's going to happen because in the 80s, when we're listening to these guys, they are probably a little bit older than us. We're in our teens. They're maybe 10 years older than us, sort of thing. So 10, even 20 years older. So now you're adding that up onto like guys who are 50 now, and it's getting into those sort of ages where, health issues are going to come up more regularly. So, yeah, it's probably going to keep happening. And, there's been Marcy Free, Ace Frehley, and even and this is actually not anything to do with age, really. This is actually really, really sad. But the guy Sam Rivers from Limp Bizkit also passed away in the last sort of week or so. So yeah, so it's the thing is too, of course, that rock stars are dying, and that's just going to happen over time. But we aren't getting any more new ones. As I was just talking about Youngblood, I mean, is he the new rock star? Maybe, I don't know. But if you look at festival lineups and the bands that are headlining, it's a lot of bands from the 80s, maybe 90s, maybe even 70s. But from the 2000s, there's hardly any, You might have yeah, well, like a band like Bring Me the Horizon or a band like Avenged Sevenfold, but I mean, there's not a lot of bands that have come out in the last sort of 20 years that can be a major festival headlining act. So where are the rock stars? And I guess what's probably happened is coincided, I think, with the internet. And so what's sort of happened is rock's still out there. Rock is not dead. There's lots of rock bands. It's like I can't get through all the music to listen to each week. There's heaps of music, but it's kind of been diluted a little bit in the sense there's no one's really becoming the big rock star, but everyone's sort of maybe got a little bit of a following, which is probably gives everyone a bit of a fair shot, right? Half the time when the back in the 80s and 90s, these bands were blowing up. You had bands being that were massive, and so these guys become massive rock stars. But then, of course, a lot of bands didn't get the attention. No one even knew they existed. And so maybe now there's people with a whole wider variety of bands that they like because they can access everything and it's all on the internet. So but yeah, we'll wait and see. I mean, obviously there's still a lot of rock stars around today who could still be around for another 20, 30 years. But yeah. Anyways, that's my little random thoughts. Oh, actually, I've got one more little random thought. Actually, it's kind of more like news. Um, I was on Facebook and I noticed that Robert Fleischman and Vinnie Vincent have had some sort of communication together. And yeah, it's really been a real positive one. So I'll read out actually what Robert wrote on his Facebook. He said, Vinnie reached out to me to say that he loved the new album, Emotional Atlas. So this is Robert's new album. I was totally surprised, and he said that he wanted to endorse it. And then Robert says, Vinny, thank you for your support and kindness. And then Vinny actually replied, he said, Rob, I speak the truth. I love the album, the songs, the vibe, the production. Emotional Atlas is a winner. You, my dear friend, are a gifted artist. Your voice is unmatched, and the magic we share musically is a privilege. My best always, Vinnie Vincent. And so I thought that was cool that they're having some nice positive communication. I don't think really Vinny's ever really talked negatively, at least in recent years, about Robert, and probably shouldn't because he's got all these recordings that he wants to release that Robert sung on. But yeah, and Robert's just been straight up about Vinny, the good and the bad. And but that was cool. It was interesting too that on that same post, someone asked, so what's happening with with an album with you and Robert? And Vinny goes, How about two? How about two albums? Double album is in the works now. So I think he's just talking about these recordings that he's already done with Robert. But then he says, I'm truly hoping the collector limited edition EP, sounds dodgy, will be completed by Christmas. I will be updating when he gets closer, working round the clock, trying to finish up. I don't know what he's doing because it's recorded, but anyway, maybe he's remastering it, and Yeah. Anyway, adding guitar parts, I mean, it's possible. Anyway, and then also if you go on to Vinnie Vincent's Facebook page, he's turned Robert Fleischman into like a AI version of Robert Fleischman. He's singing and moving to the song No Substitute, and with a little message from Vinny, this is how it should have always been, or something like that. Because of course, you know, Robert doesn't actually appear in the music video for any of the songs from the debut album. Of course, Boys Are Gonna Rock, which Robert sings on, actually has Mark Slaughter in the music video. Anyway, so that's my random thoughts. Now, just I wanted to talk though because there's actually been some interesting new releases that have come out this week, and so I wanted to talk about those. Um, First up, Heavy Petting. Now, Heavy Petting are a band that I really like. Well, I really like them. Of course, they haven't. This album is their first album in, I mean, it must be like over 35 years, probably something like that. So it's been a long time since they put out their last album. I think they had an EP a few years ago, but it's their first full-length album. And yeah, I've only had a quick listen to it to be honest with you. So yeah, I can't really make too much of a judgment. I will say it is, from what I could hear, it's no Rock Ain't Dead. You know, it's that Rock Ain't Dead is like one of my favorite hard rock albums from the 80s. And you know, I think it's always really challenging for bands who came out in the 80s and put out music in the 80s, especially when you take a big break like that, like they have. I'm sure they've all been doing their own thing, maybe still been doing music, but it's a long time apart to then, and I know bands evolve and change and more people do. So maybe it's not going to sound exactly the same. I think though that they're trying to. I think from what I've heard, it sounds like they're going for that sort of sound. It's not like they've changed musical direction or genres or anything. It's very much in that Rock Ain't Dead sort of genre or sound. Yeah, I'm just not sure the songs are quite there, but like I say, early days. I've only just given it a quick listen, and again, I think it's that these guys are getting up there age-wise, and so yeah. But anyway, good to see them back, and like I say, a band in the 80s I really liked. Younger band now. Well, it's not really even a band, really, is it? But Mammoth, so which is Wolfgang Van Halen's band. It's really just pretty much him. He does have guys obviously backing him up and stuff, but I think he does a lot of the instrumentation on the album. His third album's just come out, and like fantastic. Like for me, like I love the previous two, so this is like a hat trick of great albums. Again, I haven't heard this one a lot, but from what I have heard. And also, there's been quite a few singles released up to this point, so I've been really enjoying those. Check out the title track, The End, if you haven't heard that one. That's just, I love the guitar at the start. Yeah, just awesome. Really fantastic. And a really nice surprise, Bangalore Choir have released a new album. It's called Rapid Fire Succession, and it's also known, it's got in brackets, On Target Part 2, which kind of got me interested because I was thinking, okay, so they're like sort of going for that on target sound again because Bangalore Choir have released a few albums since the On Target album, and they haven't really, for me anyway, matched up with On Target, which I think is a great album. So it was interesting hearing that this was going to be sort of On Target Part 2, and it totally is. It's very much a similar sound, and I think David Reese, he's the only original, I think, guy from the debut, but I think he's pulled it off pretty good. And check out the song How Does It Feel? Because that could almost be called Angel in Black Part 2. Very similar, very similar. But there's other great songs on there as well. Yeah, I think it's a really good album. So yeah, go check that one out if you liked the debut Bangalore Choir album. And like I say, it's sometimes it's hard these bands that came out in the 80s and 90s to sort of replicate what they did, 20, 30 years later. But I mean, it's not as good as On Target from what I can hear, but it's got some great songs. And as I say, early days as well. So I was really pleasantly surprised. So check it out. It's also got, and I thought this was cool because it's my favorite song off the album. It's got a version of Prisoner, which David Reese did when he was in the band except. So from Eat the Heat album, he did a song called Prisoner, which is actually my favorite song from that album. So he's redone it for On Target 2 or Rapid Fire Succession. And it kind of makes sense because that song does fit quite nicely in with that Bangalore Choir kind of sound. So yeah, go check that out. So there we go. So there's three new releases that are worth checking out and having a listen to. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for today. As you might be able to see, I've got Lita Ford behind me now. So I used to have a AC/DC poster. I just decided to switch it up for no good reason other than the obvious one. Um, it does, you probably won't be able to see it, but it does have at the bottom of the poster a calendar for 1992. But I just thought actually that kind of makes sense because it is kind of a bit like 1992 in this room, you know? This is almost like the room I would have liked to have in 1992. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you later.